So I'm up Smithfield Canyon about 5 miles. This is where the campground is. There's a little turnoff here where the dirt road starts. It heads on up for another 4 or 5 miles. I grew up in this area. I've been up in this canyon. I probably camped up here probably 75 times in my lifetime. I have spent a lot of time up here. I love this place. I'd ride my motorcycle up here all the time. But the reason why I'm coming up here, I'm bringing you along, hopefully you come with me. I've got just a few memories I wanted to share of my father. 3 of them I'm going to talk about are kind of spiritual. The other 2 are just some memories about him. I'm making these videos for my kids and grandkids when I'm gone, just so they can have some memories of mine. And but anyway, it's just beautiful up here. But the reason why I'm coming here, besides the beauty, and I love this canyon, is I have, like I said, at least I think I said, a couple of memories of my father in this canyon. We are coming to the first one right here, right at the very start. It was right at the end of his life. Me and my family, and this was maybe 18, 19 years, 20 years ago. But me and my family were camping in the campground just on the other side of the river, and my dad, the old man, managed to just hike down or walk down about a block, turn, and kind of come back up where we are. And he had made it to right into this spot, just right past these trees. He walked out as I was coming down the canyon with a couple of our kids who were really young at the time, and Dad was walking just super slow. But he came right up into this area, this clearing, and the sun was shining on him. And with his white hair and his light jacket, he was just bright. And I got this impression like, Dad's maybe not going to be with us much longer. He looks like an angel right now, just because he was shining so much with the sun hitting him. It was right in this area here where there's no trees. It's middle of November right now, which is actually just a couple days before he passed away 15 years ago. And so this was just one of my memories of just seeing him look like an angel right at this very exact spot. And I remember walking down to him as he was coming up just super slow, and I remember just thinking how lucky I was to have him as my father, and how much I loved him, and how much I was going to miss him when he was gone. But right in this spot, like I said, is where that memory took place. I'm going to hike up a little bit more and tell you another memory of Dad that happened up here about 3 or 4 more miles. And so I'm going to leave you for now. I'll take a few pictures. Hope you enjoy the hike. Well, I'm going to enjoy the hike. I hope you enjoy the pictures that I take on the hike. It's just beautiful up here in its own dead way. It's middle of November, the leaves are gone. I just came to my first little bit of snow, and it reminded me to stop and tell a story. The first story of my dad, which is kind of spiritual for me, was when he baptized me. He was a convert to the church. He never grew up in it. He joined the church in his mid to late 20s. Married mom, got the priesthood, and had the power to baptize. And so I was born into the church, taught the gospel, the principles, and believed what I was told. I remember being taught that when you're baptized, your sins are forgiven. You know, the ripe old age of 8, how many mistakes can you possibly make, right? I'd made a few, and was looking forward to when I was going to be baptized. And so I was taught that, you know, like the snow is white, you know, our sins can become white like snow, you know, after we're baptized. It's like a new beginning. Oh, nice. There's sunshine right up there. It's like 26 degrees when I started the hike. Ready for some sun. So my cousin and I were baptized, and I remember when I came up out of the water having this feeling like, wow, it's true. You know, I don't know how much faith I had or what, but I remember thinking, oh, it's true, you know, because I feel like my sins were forgiven. I felt different inside. When they gave me the Holy Ghost, He confirmed me a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I was expecting something similar, but I didn't have that feeling then. I'll be talking later about that here in this video, but I had that definite feeling and confirmation when Dad baptized me. That was really the foundation of my testimony. I started doing some videos a while ago, and I did a video about how my faith began, and I was probably 5 or 6 when I told that story, but I had faith, and when I was baptized, it became a little bit more than that. It was something that I knew was true. So that's one memory I wanted to share. Okay, it is the end of the road, and the start of the trailhead. Unfortunately, I was planning on driving up here, but here we are, the trailhead to the Mount Naomi Wilderness. Seems like a great spot to tell a story at the end of the road. So in the church, I mentioned we have the priesthood. One thing that we do is give blessings. At the end of my father's life, and I mean days before he passed away, when he was on hospice and not doing well, we decided, Mom and him, and it was Bruce and Steve, my brothers, and me, we decided it was time to give him his final blessing and send him on his way to the next world. And I remember I'm the oldest, and I don't know, I guess Mom kind of looked to me, and I was the person who said the prayer in the blessing, and we were sitting he was up in the living room in his hospital bed that they had brought in for him, and he'd been in bed for several days. He couldn't get out of bed, and we were visiting for a little bit, and then we decided it was time to give him a blessing. And I remember so well, the 3 of us, me and my 2 brothers, stood up to go over and give him a blessing. And when we gathered, as we were closing in kind of on him and to make a little circle around him, I had this incredible feeling like there were a dozen other men in the room that I couldn't see with him. And it was like my spirit somehow recognized them, and I could identify 3 of them. 2 of them were the Coleman brothers, who had passed on, many years before that. They were our neighbors. Orville lived right next to us, just east of our house, directly east, the next house up from us. And I'll shoot my name. Henry Coleman owned property right behind us, and he lived just across the street from his property, so just really super close to us. But anyway, I recognize those two as being there, and the reason, I think, was because they were our, we called them home teachers back then. Now they're ministers. It's people that the church assigns to kind of look out for each other. And they had been coming to our house for 20 years, every single month. They never missed. And they would come with a little, they'd come and read a little thought from the prophets and apostles, or they'd read scripture. But they were real friendly. We visited every month with them. And the visits were like, as a kid, I'm like, are they ever going to go? But they would stay for probably an hour each visit, just making sure we're doing well, visiting with us, neighborly, doing their church thing by, keeping an eye out for us, making sure we're doing okay physically, temporally, spiritually, and everything. And so I recognize them being there in the prayer circle. And then I also recognized my grandpa Nelson. It would have been Dad's father-in-law. And when he passed away, I was probably 4 or 5 at the time. I have like 1 or 2 memories of him, just glimpses of memories of him. But then at that moment, it was like somehow my spirit knew his, and I knew him. And so the 3 of them I recognized. The others I'm not sure. But I know there were more people in that room than the 3 of us, my mom and Dad, giving him a blessing. And so I placed my hands first on his head. My brothers put their hands on top of mine. And as soon as I started talking, words just came to me from heaven or somewhere. I was just being told what to say. And I won't go into it. I can't remember a lot of it, but it wasn't anything that I was thinking of. Words were being put into my mind to tell Dad. And then the interesting thing was I could feel all this pressure pushing down on my hands. And it was just like I said, my 2 brothers who just set their hands, on top of mine. So I basically had 4 hands, placed on top of mine. But it felt like all 12 of them. It felt like a whole ton of people just pushing down on me. And I actually started pushing up. And it was becoming annoying to me that they were pushing so hard. And I did something that I've never done in a I don't even know a prayer, but I opened my eyes to see if I could see what was going on. I couldn't see anybody except for my 2 brothers' hands, on top of mine. But I felt all this pressure, and I saw my dad. His head looked like it was like tilted down, and like he was like we were like trying to break his neck. And I was becoming really annoyed, and I pretty much with all the strength I had, I pushed up like a jerk. And then I felt the spirit hands somehow just go loose, kind of relax a little bit. And then I closed my eyes and finished giving him the blessing. But I haven't experienced a blessing like that before. And it was one of the stories I wanted to share with you of my testimony of the priesthood, maybe testimony of we go on after this life is over. I've mentioned that in a lot of other videos, but that was he was probably the first person to pass away that I knew really well. You know, my family, and when I had that experience, you know, with him being the first one to go and having that experience, it just strengthened my testimony so much that everything that I know and taught and believed, it was true. And so that's one story that I wanted to share. I've got one more spiritual experience and then one more memory of Dad up in this canyon. So thanks for being with me this far. Stick around a little bit longer. All right, this is so fun. I'm the first person up here since it snowed, and it has been a long time since I've been up here. I'm not exactly sure where the trail went. But what a great place to get lost, right? I was thinking up here, but I don't think so. Oh. Yeah. Here we go. That's got to be the trail over there. All right, I'm putting you down. Success! You know, that probably was stupid. And it wasn't the only stupid thing I've done up here in this canyon. But I'm on the other side. Here we go. So this is funny. There's probably a good lesson to this. I just crossed the river, like right there where that pine tree is, risking my life. I walk, 20 feet, and oh, it's still a road, apparently. This is the old road. I couldn't remember, but it looks like it appears to be the road. And yeah, it's coming back to me. You go up here a little ways, and then it becomes a little small trail. All right, carry on. I had to back up about 20 feet and redo this part of the trail just to see if it takes my breath away the second time. Yes, it did. Breathtaking. And yet again, I found a beautiful spot to lose the trail. It goes somewhere up there. Note to myself, when I lose the trail, walk east about 10 feet. But yeah, so here it is. So there's this big old tree that fell down right in the middle of the trail. I just wanted to show you a roadblock. There's a lot of big old bumps and rough spots, creeks you gotta cross to get up to this point. And I'm not even close to where this story starts, but just wanted to kind of set the stage for the story. All right, so I've got another mile or two to go, but I'm going to stop here. There's a lot of down trees. Snow's getting deeper. I'm not sure of my footing. I'm up here by myself, so I think it's a good spot, a good time to turn around, make a good decision. So I am going to just stop right here and tell you the story. As you can see, we're surrounded with all these mountains here. So what had happened, and this is one of my memories of my dad, back at where the road stopped and the trailhead started, the wilderness sign that I showed you. We drove up there together with a couple of friends, my brother and a carload of us, as many as we could fit in the car. And we stopped there and hiked up here to get my motorcycle. I had driven way up here, and I was on the switchbacks trying to go up over these mountains, and I hit a switchback which was really steep, and I gave it a little bit too much gas, and my motorcycle wheelied over. I jumped on it and kind of got control, rode it down, but it was so steep, my bike just kept sliding. I couldn't stop it, and I ended up going probably 20 or 30 feet like that, just down this really steep hill. At the bottom of the hill was a little cliff. I maybe stopped. I stopped a ways from it, but I wasn't concerned with that. Mom about had a heart attack, but there's no way I could get my bike out by myself, and it's I'm just hearing all these noises with the snow falling off the trees, and it reminded me when I walked out up here all by myself, because it was dark by the time I got maybe to this point. Like I said, I was way up in the mountains where I left my bike. Being a stupid teenager, I'm like, I don't want to leave it here. Maybe someone will take it, and what I'll do is disable it. So I took the seat off of it, and so I walked all the way from clear up here all the way down to my home in Smithfield, carrying the seat of my motorcycle. But the memory that I have of my dad is he came up here with me, and I was stupid, I know, and he didn't get mad at me, but just the opposite. He's like praising me because he couldn't believe that I was able to drive my motorcycle up this far. So it's kind of a dumb little memory, but it was one of the times in my life where my dad was just proud of me when he should have been angry with me. And so it meant a lot to me that he supported me. We got up here, and there was like several of us. We had some rope. We just pulled the bike out really easy, and I had my seat, put it back on, and rolled it all the way back down. But by the time I got back down to Smithfield that night, it was way late. Mom was like worried, and I came walking in with the cover of the seat of my motorcycle, and Mom's like just really worried that I could have been killed. And I'm like, don't worry, Mom. But anyway, it was a fun story and a fun memory up in this canyon that I'll always treasure, knowing how my dad was proud of me that one time. Many times I'm sure he was proud of me, but he let me know that time that he was proud of me. Okay, I'm back down where I'm a little more sure of my footing, so I'm going to finish up this video with the last story about my dad. It's a spiritual experience that I had when he passed away. So after we gave him the priesthood blessing, he fell asleep, never to wake up again. It took him a few days to pass away, from that point. And we were, all his family would come over and spend some time with him. And it happened that when he passed, my brother Bruce and I and Mom were with him. And I was on one side of him and Bruce was on the other. We were both holding his hand. And as he took his last breath, to me, it seemed like the room somehow had changed. It wasn't like clear. Somehow it just seemed a little, it's hard to describe, like foggy, cloudy. It's hard to describe it. It didn't look right. And when he took his last breath, I immediately got hit with this burning inside. I have been doing a lot of camping, and I know what a fire is like. It was inside of me. this burning was in my chest, inside of me, and it burned. There's a song, "The Spirit of God like a fire is burning." Describes it a little bit, I guess, but it was just burning inside of me, this feeling. About 5 seconds later, my brother Bruce says, "Wow, I just got hit by a big ball of fire." And I know he felt it, I felt it, I'm sure Mom did. Just, it was hard to describe. I don't know who was there to greet him as he passed away and entered the other side of the, in the spirit world. I'm not sure who that was. I've never experienced that presence before, that amazing burning. But he had lived a good life. He had kept the commandments, done what he was supposed to. He took care of his family, worked hard, so all us kids could spend his money. But he had lived a good life, and I feel like he got his reward there at the end of his life after he passed away and entered into the spirit world. I wanted to leave that room and just to give Mom some time with him, and so I got up and after a couple of minutes with him and just feeling just this burning, I walked out of the living room where he was staying, and I couldn't leave. I walked about 10 feet, turned around and walked back in there. I just wanted to be there. I wanted to be with this burning that was in that room. And it's testimony to me that if we, do the best we can in this life and try to follow the Savior, keep His commandments, and, love others and follow, His example like my dad did, that I'm sure of it, that there'll be something like that waiting for us, someone like that waiting for us as we finish out this life. And so that is my testimony of the plan of happiness, I guess, that we chose before we came to this earth, to get bodies and to return back. But it's amazing, that burning, that presence that I was in. I'm not sure, like I said, who it was, but I want to have that with me. And so anyway, I appreciate you listening to these 3 spiritual experiences that I had with my dad, and these 2 other memories that I had with him up Smithfield Canyon where we are. So I hope you enjoyed the video and the scenery. It's beautiful. This world Heavenly Father made for us is beautiful. It's amazing. I love it. Anyway, love you guys too. Thanks for watching. Bye now.